What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Therapist Logan Reacts. Today we are doing a song from an artist we haven't done yet. So this is new. I'm trying to add as much as I can. I'm trying to cover for a bunch of different artists as best I can. So that way, and I'm listening to you guys. So every time you guys comment, I can't get to every single one of them. I am trying to kind of go through my comments consistently, but you guys are leaving us some really good songs, and I wish I had more time and was able to post more, but right now this is what's working for me. So I appreciate your patience and working with me, and again, just the support. Keep recommending those songs, and I'm going to try to get to them when I can get to them, but I am watching, I'm on the lookout for all those comments, so thank you so much for the support in the comments alone. But this song is called The Grudge by Olivia Rodrigo. I'm not really sure what to anticipate. Grudges are very interesting when working with therapy, and I'm sure we'll end up talking about that later on. I don't want to get too much into it, but let's jump right into it and let's get after it. This is the lyric video, by the way. Love the piano.
We have nightmares each week about that Friday in May. One phone call from you and my entire world was changed. Trust that you betrayed, confusion that still lingers. Took everything I loved and crushed it in between your fingers. And I doubt you ever think about the damage that you did, but I hold on to every detail like my life depends on it.
Alright, so it seems like, just based on what I'm getting at right now, it seems like the phone call was this individual calling them to let them know that they did something that made her kind of question her herself. This is can be a very typical aspect because unfortunately relationships aren't all perfect. There's a lot of things that people do out of many different drives, let's say. And distraction. So it's very difficult because I feel like this has been a very common theme that comes for young women growing up, and because men don't realize like the power they have when it comes to like relationships and cheating and what that really does to a person. I mean, again, it works both ways, but in her, I feel typically it will be kind of turned in more. She's turning it on herself. Like, she's remembering every single detail. It's like a very traumatic thing that, like, again, when it comes to love and you're loving somebody and they misuse that trust, they abuse that trust, especially when it comes to maybe, like, infidelity, that's a really difficult component because whoever's on the other end of it is always going to kind of reflect back because realistically, if you think about it, it does kind of say, why was I not enough? Why was like your drive was more than like the responsibility or the trust that we had together? And it's just like, it's just an unfortunate thing, like, because some people will again try to get away with it, and it's just like, if you don't want to be with that person, just don't be. Like, you don't have to be. And it's again, it's it's just a difficult thing that unfortunately happens, and it's the reality of it. But again, it just makes the individual who's the victim in that sense, or the person who would the person that has the damage done to them. It's just shitty because it puts them in that negative core belief, that thought process of not being enough. Why did they pick the other person? And again, it can really build those different insecurities, those different factions or parts within ourselves, and again creates those dynamics of like, oh, like, they can lead to like trust issues and other problems in future relationships, especially if again you felt that love in the relationship where they cheated. If you feel that love again, they're maybe pushing away, and that's where those parts from internal family system comes up. And it's just unfortunate, but that's typically what it seems to be kind of the situation. I think that's the play on the grudge component. But let's continue on.
Decidedly, and I say I don't care. I say that I'm fine, but you know I can't let it go. I've tried for so long. It takes strength to forgive, but I don't feel strong. The arguments that I wanna get.
Wow. it takes strength to forgive, but I don't feel strong. That's a huge statement. It takes strength to forgive, which it absolutely does, but I don't feel strong. And this kind of reminds me of like this idea of like crying or all this stuff. Like we reframe it in such a negative and weak thought when in reality it's not, because like it's looked down upon so easy. If it was easy or weak to do that, you would just do that automatically. You know what I mean? Like for everything, but you don't. Like the fact that like it's gotten you to that point shows how much strength that it's taken you and to be finally vulnerable with what's actually going on inside of you. Like being vulnerable and 100% you in that situation is like beyond difficult, because we don't do that in general. We put up all these masks. Everybody has masks that they're doing, or different hats, or different parts that they're playing. It's constant. We constantly do that. Like everybody does it. I do it. I have my therapist hat on sometimes. I have my boyfriend hat on sometimes. Like I do these different things, and it's, again, we all have different parts we play, but it's like that's the most authentic when you're feeling emotional wise. And it doesn't make you feel strong. It definitely doesn't, because there is a sense of like, not helplessness, but like there's this idea that like I can't control anything in this situation. So like maybe it's your rational brain being like, why are we crying? It's not going to do anything. But like in reality, it's helping you process those emotions that you're currently going through. And that's super, super important. That's extremely important. And for you to feel those not great, those emotions you'd prefer not to feel more, to be able to feel those is like, again, giving yourself that emotional intelligence, that regulation that we don't typically get. And typically humans want to go to anger real quick, but anger is a secondary emotion. We don't feel sadness because we label those as bad emotions, but it's so good to feel those because that makes you more emotionally intelligent and a more emotionally well-rounded individual, because you're getting those reps, if you will, of feeling that emotion, making it normalizing it. It's okay to feel how you feel. Now, it's important to distinguish. You're allowed to feel how you feel. That doesn't mean you're allowed to let it impact your behavior or your actions or your reactions, if you will, because it's important to, one, be emotionally intelligent and well-rounded and feel all the emotions, but it's also good to be able to regulate as well and process those emotions. You can't, because if you just let your sadness come fully envelop you, and you can't do anything, you can't do your job, you can't do it. That's when it becomes like a maladaptive aspect. Like it's great to find a spot for you to feel your emotions and how you feel them, but it really comes down to like, hey, I also can't let it just affect my other things. That you still have to live, right? It's still like a very important component, and there are therapies that work towards that and distinguishing that, but. Yeah, you can always feel how you feel. Like, as a therapist, that's one of my things I always say. I'm like, I will never tell you how to feel. All I ask is you be willing to explore different ways of thinking. That's all I really need, and I can usually work with that. So that's typically how I go. It's a very big one, but I will never, ever, ever tell someone how to feel a specific way about something, because we're all different. We could experience the exact same thing and feel two opposite ends of the spectrum emotions when it comes to it. And that's just perspective. But she is strong for feeling this because she's doing something that's extremely difficult, which is forgiving. Oh my goodness, forgiving is, I wish we put more emphasis on this growing up about how important it is to forgive. Because people always, when I'm working through forgiveness with my clients, oh goodness, there is such a screeching halt when you bring up the word forgiveness or forgiving, because we're always taught that it's for the other person. That's a lot of perspectives. A lot of people think, and forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's not to, oh yeah, they stabbed me in the back, I forgive them, and it doesn't mean you're gonna forget. It's not forgiving and forgetting. Those aren't the same thing. And forgiving isn't forgetting what they did to you and how it made you feel. Forgiving is for you. You forgiving an individual, it's for you and you only. It's to let that anger go. That's what forgiveness is for. You're forgiving yourself by allowing to let the anger or any emotion tied to it go. Because holding on to that, holding on to the grudge, holding on to that, it's not beneficial for you. And the only reason you're feeling that way is because you've had the other feeling too, and you don't want, realistically, if you're willing to have that conversation, you don't want to let that feeling go either. Because if there's this grudge that she's talking about, there's this anger, there's this disdain, there's this I don't want to forgive you, it's because there's still a sense of security in that love that she wants to give. She wants that love to still be present. I don't want to forgive you because then that's gone too. And that's really, really, really important to think. Forgiveness is not for the other person. Never is. And I believe some therapists already do speak about that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like I'm the only therapist to have that conclusion. But a lot of people mistake what forgiveness and who forgiveness is actually for. It's forgiving yourself the release of whatever emotion, this strong emotion you have tied to it.
Arguments that I've won against you in my head, in the shower, in the car, and in the mirror before bed. Yeah.
Okay, so here it's like she's playing like situations out. I was kind of getting, and again, I know this word has a lot of negative connotation, and I don't want you to take it like I'm saying it in a negative way, but there's almost like an obsessiveness about it, and it's like an obsessiveness with due to not having closure. And like, again, her playing these things out is like never getting proper closure that she feels deserved. And that's another huge topic when it comes to working through strong emotions when it evokes especially couples or past relationships. You may never get the closure. I tell my clients this all the time. You may never get the closure. That's a reality of the situation. If you did want to hear something, what would it have been? But just because you're saying this doesn't mean that they would say this. So it's hard to make that distinction. But yeah, you got to be real with your clients too. You can't just give them false hope that, oh, maybe you'll get the closure one day, or no, you don't do that to them. Don't build them up and allow them to fall. That's not appropriate. It's not ethical. And recognizing sometimes you got to be real with the clients, and it hurts. It does suck. But as long as they know you're there and you're still walking with them, it's usually good. That really, again, relies on the therapeutic relationship to have that strong, to do those kind of things.
You must be insecure, you must be so unhappy, not knowing my heart. Hurt people.
Bars. I was just about to say this. I did not know that was in her lyrics. First of all, you must be insecure. And oh my God, dude, that's Olivia Rodrigo. Shout out you. Where was it? And I would try to understand, why would you do this to me? You must be insecure. You must be unhappy, I think. You must be so unhappy. And so, like, that's her rational brain, like, explain, like, you know what I mean? And being an empathetic person, which she seems to be, and a lot of music artists are, there's a disconnect, or not a disconnect. There is a difficulty in feeling your emotions when you're able to see it from the other side. I am always able to play devil's advocate with my feelings, and I try not to be dismissive of my feelings, but when someone's upset me, or not my clients, but just in general, like outside, like at Target, somebody cuts me off or anything, like I very much automatically check myself instead of just feeling emotion, like and there's something that from my grad school that like always stick with me. Like it was just a perspective activity. And it was like, okay, you're driving on the highway and somebody cuts you off real crazy, almost crashes into your car. And what emotion are you filled with? People answered like angry, upset, flustered, and other emotions. And then like even disrespected, then the next step is you see that car pull into a hospital bay and a pregnant lady jumps out and they get her in really fast. Now your emotions released. You've got an explanation for that. It's like, so there's always reason for people's behaviors. There's always actions, always decisions. It's not just on the fly. And that's something I do a lot. And I can tell when someone's trying to hurt me or do things. Oh my goodness. Literally one of the most important lines as a therapist. If you're a therapist, if you're one of the people, or if you're becoming a new therapist or you are a therapist and you don't use this term, you need to use it. Hurt people. And if you don't know what that means it goes back to like the idea of like a bully. Like a bully will take their frustrations out on weaker individuals, all this stuff to make them feel a little bit better. And typically that's because they're being made feel dumb, insecure at home. Maybe like a dad or a mom. You know what I mean? Their family home's probably not great, so they're trying to take people down. They're trying to do things to make them feel somewhat better, when in reality that's not gonna fill the hole that they need to fill. And it's because they're hurt. Hurt people will always hurt people. And it's our responsibility as a society, as social beings, as humans, to look out for your other respective humans, is to, even though you've probably been hurt, even though you've gone through trauma, it is your responsibility to work through that, become a best version of yourself as possible, and recognize that if people are rude, like there's other ways to do it. You should never try to hurt people. There's one thing about standing up for yourself, for sure. I'm never saying don't stand up for yourself. But hurting someone just for the sake of hurting them, don't be that person. Don't let your pain change you and harden you, because this is a very cold world, and that is a reality of the situation. But it's so important not to become a hurt person that hurts people. Like, it's easy to get in that frame of mind. And just great lines, Olivia. It's phenomenal. Such a good line. Very therapeutic. I use it all the time. It's facts. It's nothing but facts. But yeah, let's continue on.
Try to be tough, try to be mean, but even after all this, you're still everything to me. And I know you don't care. I guess that's fine, but you know I can't let it go. I've tried for so long. It takes strength to forgive, but I'm not quite sure I'm there yet. It takes strength to forgive, but
I like that one line. I'm not quite there yet. And I think there is, again, earlier on in the video, I talked about how there's like that false sense of hope, kind of like hoping. And I think this is typical with relationships. Like if someone is more toxic or does something to just like lose your trust or something, we kind of hope they make that grand gesture change, that complete 180, and like it's just all about you, and it's that wishful thinking, that very hopeful movie like ending that people go to when they really want to, when they've convinced themselves that this is what it is and this is what they need for the relationship to work, when in reality it's unlikely. It's unlikely that's going to happen, because life is not a movie. But this is also good to recognize, as long as the individual's recognizing it, that they're not there yet for that forgiveness, that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, if they're able to rationally think about it and they want to hold on to it a little bit longer, who the hell am I to say that that's incorrect? You know, as long as it's not making them unsafe or unsafe for others. Healing's a timeline that's different for everybody. I can't make, as a therapist, I simply ask questions to help people come to new ideas and perspectives that hopefully help them in their life. I have no control over the healing of individuals. I can walk people through healing And typically, I get them to perspectives that allow for it to happen more. That is what a therapist does. But we don't do the actual healing part. We're not really in there. We're guiding them but the healing and all the process is on the individual. So the fact that she's able to recognize I'm not there yet, that's all right, And as a therapist, we can't get too quick to kind of jump or go or or push them to that, because if you push them to do something that they're not quite ready for, that could be detrimental to them, their mental health, therapeutic relationship, and a bunch of other things. There are some times where a client will need like a kind of like a therapeutic push, if you will. But I think in this instance, this would be one at their own pace, because identity is really tied with this, self-worth, and you basically want to make sure that they are doing it step by step in a structured way, because if you rush it and they forget a piece, there may be something later on down the road that wasn't covered for. But I really like this song. I think I'm going to do a lot of Olivia Rodrigo. She got some good songs. And I know they're pretty therapeutic based, or there's a lot of good stuff to talk about, because there's a lot of pain in her voice. And I think she encapsulates a lot. I understand why. I get the appeal for sure. But yeah, make sure you drop a like on this video. Do you like this song? Drop a like if you don't anyway, and then let me know in the comments. Just because that helps my channel out, helps my channel grow more. It just allows, the more likes, more comments, it just gets it out there for others. Puts them on their recommended. So please do that. I would really appreciate it. Please make sure you're subscribed too, and make sure you're just sticking around for the next video. We're going to be doing a bunch of different songs from a bunch of different people, and so I try to cover a little bit of everything, so that way I'm not just doing songs nobody likes. So yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next video.